podcast. It's Linz and Krista. How are we doing?
Let's take a breath.
Take a breath.
I'm wearing these old raggedy sweatpants so I can take a big old breath.
And a silk top, baby.
And a silk top. Someone said I look like a sexy anchor woman. It's crazy. You know what's crazy? How anchor women always wear fucking tank. Like they always have their arms showing. How?
Yeah. I worked when I was a fit model for this brand. It was a brand that every anchor woman would buy dresses from, you know?
Yes, I could totally know.
And every
I used
time
to
I
buy
would
that
fit,
brand
I'm like,
at TJ Maxx.
yeah.
When I used to buy that brand at TJ Maxx when I was like 14 and I'd be wearing pencil skirts and shit. Like honestly, I dressed like a CEO when I was like 15 in Ohio. I would wear pointy shoes, pencil skirts, button downs. It was very weird times.
What were you doing? Going to interviews?
Honestly, yeah, I would go. It was like The Limited was cool. Remember that?
Oh, of course.
The Limited was cool. White House Black Market. Like there was what else? Banana Republic. Like the stores that were really popular were like very businesswoman-y.
How fucked up that, you know, I felt my maturity only through what stores that I was able to shop at.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where I was like, wow, I'm at the Limited.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm at this point in my life.
I was at Limited too. Yeah. I actually, one time I stole my mom's credit card and I went shopping at Ann Taylor Loft. As
wow,
you
what
do
a
as
choice.
a 16-year-old.
No Talbots?
I bought like 20 cardigans probably. And I came home and I was like, that was dope. That was so easy and that was so dope. And literally 20 minutes later, my mom was like, did you take my credit card? And I was like, didn't know how credit cards worked.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, she'll never know. I'm just going to take her credit card, like whatever. And I was so blown away that they accepted the credit card and like let it go through. Oh my God, it was
how old
not
were
my
you?
shining moment. I was 16.
Oh, okay.
And I was just figuring out how credit cards worked. And I was just trying to see like what was going on.
They could have gotten in trouble at that store.
I know. I know. It's funny. It's like, did I look like a Terry? I'm literally a 16-year-old girl. You're like, am I Terry to you?
Holy shit.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
Oh my God.
But yeah, oh my gosh, you guys, I had to tell you. Your girl saw an alien. 2 alien spaceships 3 weeks ago in Joshua Tree.
Mm-hmm.
So we had been in Yucca Valley the weekend before doing a photo shoot. And even when we were there, I was scared. I'm always scared in the desert. It's very
especially
scary.
the places that we've been lately. Dude, in the middle of freaking nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere. And like, it was honestly, I was sleeping. I was like, I'm going to get the master bedroom like an asshole. And then I'm trying to sleep for 10 minutes and I was scared. So I went in Lindsay's room. She locked the door. So
yeah, because I was kind of scared.
I know, honestly. So I woke her up because I was so scared.
Not because I knew Krista would get up.
But I was kind of praying. I'm like, during the day, I'm like, I want to see some sort of alien sign. I'm like, I want to make contact somehow. And I was too scared that weekend. So the next weekend when I went for one of my friends' birthdays, her name's Crystal. It was like 5 of us. And we were there and I was like, oh, I want to see something with alien, but I get too scared. I just get a little bit too scared to actually connect or make contact with aliens. So I was like, oh, another weekend. It was Sunday after we had, hung out. We had like a ceremony and stuff. And Sunday morning, I was like, oh, another weekend went by where I didn't make any alien contact in the desert when I really wanted to. I keep talking big game about aliens and I'm not doing shit about it. And I look at my phone. I'm like, I need to post a picture or whatever. And I'm scrolling through and I see this like beautiful sunset with a Joshua tree. I'm like, perfect. This will be the cover photo. I need a good sunset in my feed. And I look closely and I'm like, what is that? I'm like, that's not the moon. And I'm like, oh my God, that's not the sun. And there was the moon on the left and to the right, there was these literal 2 golden discs flying on top of one another. You can even see the top on one of them. It's on my feed right now. If you look for the Joshua Tree sunset photo. And it is so clearly spacecraft.
So clear.
How perfectly cylindrical the discs are. It can't be a solar flare. It's not a plane. It's not like, and in the desert, there's no like spotlights. There's no light pollution. And I can't believe that it's my photo.
It's funny because did you see, so you didn't see it when you took it. So sometimes with photos and video, I'm wondering what that is where you can capture, it's almost like, like the, it captures like orbs in a way that's more clear than the human eye.
Yes.
But yeah, it was really, really clear.
So clear. I honestly was like, I need to submit this to her. I was like, what hashtags
Dr.
do I have
Stephen
to use,
Greer,
honestly, to get like press for this alien spaceship photo? It honestly doesn't even seem real. It's
and
so
how gentle, because you were scared.
How gentle.
So it's just like you saw this in a photo.
2 beautiful golden discs.
I was in Big Bear with my brother. Well, it was just me, and then my brother joined me. And it was one night, and we were just like looking at the stars, and we were kind of having like a very deep breakdown of a conversation, but super heart open. Like, it was really good. And I look up and I see a UFO, and I'd never seen one before. And I was like, oh, I don't know. Like, is that a plane? And I confirmed with our friend Bree, because I was like, what is this? Because she's pretty good at being like, no, that's not it. And like, and it was kind of this inconsistent, like, glow that kind of like popped in and out. But I just thought about like, what about that experience that night with my brother made that possible? And I think it was that like heart opening.
Yes.
You know, just like very much, or the heart coherence, I think, is what, like, you know, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about. Bree's done like a bunch of heart coherence meditations, and that's really helped her to see different like crafts and
I totally think that's it. That's why
cool.
People, when they're on mushrooms and stuff,
yes,
or when they're on ayahuasca, are able to see beings. And we were doing our thing, and so I think it was in the morning. It was before. But it was because we were sort of in that frequency of like having an open heart. It's so wild.
You got to get the CE5 app.
I know, I'm going to do that.
Do the little meditations.
I'm going to do that when it's hard to do it in LA. I'm like, I don't know what kind of.
Oh, in LA, I can't.
This is like a spiritual flea market. There's like, what kind of things are happening?
Yeah, you got to be like middle of nowhere, nature.
Middle of nowhere. The type of energies that exist in LA from a spiritual perspective are so wild. I had this like witch come in my room the other night, and I was like, get the fuck out. She was like confusing me in my sleep. I was like, get out of here. And I was just like, what are you guys doing? What's happening? And I was like, there's like, it's very weird. But anyways, so that's my alien story, guys. I'm on my way. On our way. I'm on my way.
Out of Earth.
And I'm excited about sacredness. Can we talk a little bit about sacredness? Yeah. So you guys knew we talked about sacredness of being single program, which we closed enrollment for, but now it's been happening, and it is so beautiful.
Yeah, I've just been really taken aback by the like courage of women coming into the program from all different experiences. It's not just like single girls in their 20s, you know, it's like women who have recently gone through a divorce or were in an abusive relationship for years and just find themselves always needing to be in a relationship and following. Or, I mean, there's one woman who hasn't been in a relationship for 11 years and has been like a conscious choice and been kind of part of her spiritual journey, but feels her partner kind of close. She really wants to you know, just kind of like solidify the work that she's been doing in community in this way. So yeah, I'm just blown away. And I just think that, you know, we as like women in community, again, it's always healing me and, you know, us in a lot of ways. But wow, when we are in our power, open-hearted, not judging ourselves, which ultimately just makes us non-judgmental of others, it is like a vortex of healing. It's so cool. So yeah, it's been great to do this focused work. It's 6 weeks. And they do a self-study during the week, just supported by, you know, materials that I've created for them, like meditations and integrations and affirmations, writing exercises, and then we meet every single Sunday in a circle, and that's 2 hours, and we really go deep. They'll break out into breakout rooms of like one-on-ones, and it's been profound. So I'm really grateful. Really grateful.
Yeah, it's so beautiful. Oh my goodness. I'm just freaking excited about it. I'm so grateful for the women that are in it. It's a solid group.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot of babes there, which is really exciting. And to have the courage to, it's almost like admitting it, because sometimes you so badly don't want to be single. You're like, I'm admitting I'm single and I'm doing this group work.
Yeah.
But
I think that common thread is really comforting for the women. As hard as it is, it's like, okay. One, I'm not alone, but also like I can really talk openly with this group because they have that common thread. So
100%. It's amazing. And then after the program's over, we can keep you guys posted if enrollment opens for that soon. And then we're gearing up for our next program that's going to be happening later in the fall. And then we have some exciting things going on with Podcast Pro. We're going to be doing our launch program. So we're going to be helping take people through the process in like a very tactical, strategic way of how to launch their podcast successfully, just basically what we've learned over the years. And then the grow and monetize one. So we're going to help people, again, like the accelerator program from last year, which was so successful. We're going to take them through the grow and accelerator program, which will be really beautiful.
I've been stalking our accelerator
group.
It's insane. It's insane.
I can't believe it.
Jamie Scrimger has tripled her downloads. Yep. Okay Sis is like killing it in their podcast, but also on IG. They just have really stepped into like
same with Done with Adulting.
Yes, Done with Adulting. I think they sold out their merch again.
Dude, all of them, every single person in our accelerator program is just doing amazing. So we're excited about that stuff happening later this year, and everything else just almost30.com. If you guys have any suggestions for courses or programs you want us to do, feel free to share. Might not happen. Well, we
can't make any promises.
Yeah, literally. Don't stress me out. But hey, the door's open. Do but don't. Today's interview with Sophia Amoruso.
Our
the
girl,
baddest chick online.
She's back.
She's a little rail dog. She's so skinny, so cute.
That's her like natural,
of course,
balanced body.
I think we talked about her diet because she was doing keto last time she was on the pod when she came in studio. So Sophia's been on before. It's so interesting if we think about when she was on previously, what was going on then, and then it's sort of what's happening now with her. And it really seems like such a beautiful trajectory that she's been on. And what we love about Sophia is how intuition led she is. I think that's a pillar of Almost 30, and what we do is being led by our intuitions and doing things differently and not being afraid to fail, not being afraid to be judged by others, or make decisions that work for us that may not work for others. And Sophia is one of those people. She left Girlboss and she's now started her own company called Business Class, which is sort of like an MBA program that she walks people through the entrepreneurial journey in like a group online setting.
Yeah. The branding it's
so
Sophia. It's amazing.
It's crazy.
And so important. And I think that's probably a part of, because I haven't taken the course, but like, I'm sure she touches on that because that's been such a strong point of every one of her brands is that branding, that aesthetic. But what I also love about Sophia is just her, and I know it hasn't been easy, but just her willingness to like move on when it's no longer serving her,
Yes.
And some of it has been like kind of earth shattering, like the bankruptcy with Nasty Gal and all these things, but
very
like
public failures,
very public, but she's funny and she just takes it in stride. At least, someone looking on from the public view. And I just love her for that. And she also talks about just how she is very focused on her career now and how much space that creates for her to receive her life that she's created. And I think that's so important, and I think it's easier said than done. And also she's in a position where she's had so many different iterations of her career, successes. And so I think there is a lot of space for her to do that and take the time to receive her life. But I think we can do that in small ways. As we're building something, I think it's really important because all of a sudden you could wake up after so many years and just be like exhausted and you have yet to really receive like your recent episode, like the essence of your life,
the fruits of your damn labor. And at some point it's like, what's, when you're in the game of big money and big companies like that, it's like, what even is $30 million?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is this?
I mean, that would be nice.
I know.
What is it? That would be nice.
What is it? It's nice. But it's also
I know what
like,
you mean.
It's what is it for life?
It's like, when do you stop?
Yes.
Or when do you say like,
yes, I want to enjoy my life.
I could live on this. Or invest this and chill.
I could enjoy my life at, a couple million, whatever it is. So this is a super casual conversation. This is really relaxed, kind of us catching up and us talking about the transition, leaving Girlboss and business class. So I think it'll be a really easy listen and for you guys. And we just always love having Sophia on. So we're really grateful for that. So once again, almost30.com for all of our courses, all of our programs. If you're interested in starting a podcast or you want to help monetize it, you can find Podcast Pro on the Almost 30 site. And then Almost 30 Podcasts on Instagram. We post reels and inspirational quotes and videos from our guests, and it's just a great place to be.
Love you guys so much. Share this episode with a friend or any other episodes from Almost 30 that really help spread the word about what we're doing here. And it's just like a nice little gift for your friends, just for them to know that you're thinking about them. All right, enjoy this one. Make sure you're subscribed so we can be in your inbox every single week. And we will see you on the other side.
We'll see you guys soon.
I love what I'm doing now, and I'm so glad that I get to do it. And I wouldn't trade, it's like everything happens for a reason. And this isn't like a, resilience rebound kind of thing. I'm like, shit, I get to do what I want to do.
Yo, you seem so fucking happy. It's really beautiful to like see business class happen and just be like, oh yeah, she's the perfect person for that. Like, it just felt so right. And I was like, wow, like here we are and you're able to live the life that you like love. I want to talk about that a little bit, like your transition to doing this. And now really you're able, and I think you've had more time to think about what kind of life you want to live and how you want your work to serve your life. Can you talk about that?
Totally. Yeah. This is something I've always I've talked about and dreamed about, and we wrote articles about, in Girlboss, just don't sign up for too many things. You need to focus. And I just never did that. Girlboss as a business became conferences, a podcast, retreats, brand partnerships, a newsletter, other editorial content.
I'm like,
anything you can.
This is our life.
Oh yeah. And a social network that we built instead of just used another platform. So don't do that. We use one called Mighty Networks to put our community on. It's really great. And now I'm taking everything I learned and baking it into a course. So Girlboss inspired a really broad group of women, women generally. We gave them tools and advice. It wasn't really an educational platform per se. So I like to say that, Nasty Gal gave women confidence. Didn't give it to them, but we helped them slip into it. Girlboss provided inspiration, and that was for career women and, salary negotiations and wage gaps and everything, we really covered. And business class is really focused on entrepreneurs, bootstrapped entrepreneurs, and entrepreneurs who are building their businesses now. And it's not gendered. It's the first brand I've ever made that doesn't have the word girl or gal in it. And it really is for everybody.
I didn't realize that. Mm-hmm.
I know, I didn't either. And then this women's movement comes around. They're like, what do you have to say about it? I'm like, oh my God, I'm not qualified. I wrote a book called Girlboss in 2014. I don't
100%.
Definitely
and also
can't be that, but I had to be that voice. Yeah.
Truly. Yeah. And to kind of, to have that identity morph, it's just been so cool to see. I have to say, just being, fans of yours throughout the years and now seeing you do business class, it looks from our vantage point very seamless in how you transition, but I can imagine that it's not, and it can be emotional and hard.
It can be. And I didn't answer your question. So I decided to do one thing, and it's an online course that it's pre-recorded. It's hours of video. It's really beautiful, highly produced video, 200 pages of worksheets, and you get this flight manual. You get this, and you print out all your worksheets and put it in there. and I do live weekly Zoom calls. It's not like hands off. We launch it twice a year. So we're launching it again soon. It's takebusinessclass.com. I'll just throw it out there. But this allows me to not like put on a conference every time the company needs to make money. Or, even with podcasts, like you can make money doing podcasts. It's a really great opportunity to build an audience. But I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to do something. I just want to have like some freedom. And if that means less money now, like that's okay. And I'm in a very, fortunate position to be able to say something like that. So business class is something where it's like, we launch it twice a year. It's really, you can only enroll for like 2 weeks in the spring and 2 weeks in the fall. Can't buy it the rest of the year. And then, I take students week by week through 10 weeks of the content. And each week a flight drops, which is a module. And within each of those are legs. And those are lessons. And, after those 10 weeks, like we've really guided them. We have a community called The Lounge, of course, like endless airline puns. But then they have access to it for life. But like, come summer, like I'm not, they've really gotten a lot of guidance from myself and my team and the community as the content is being released. And then like, maybe I can peace out for a month, So I want things to look more like projects rather than like, you guys are doing a membership now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like you do that in a podcast, you keep doing that. And like, I've done it for 15 years and it's fun and you can build a really big business that way. And I'm just kind of like, I'm like saying no to anything that feels like I'm going to have to do, like be on the hook for it, And yes. I really kind of want to have a weekly podcast. Like I have a large audio audience, but it's just like, it doesn't fit into this thesis I made that is like, this is what, if I choose to do things, it has to be this criteria. I have to enjoy it. It has to hopefully have like a high margin. It like has to, and there's stuff I do that's free, has to be kind of project based. So a book is like a finite project. This course is not a project, but it's not in the same intensity all year round. So that's why I did it. But I also did it because I just have learned way too much. Like, for those 15 years and just have so much to share. I'd rather share than just like keep learning and I am learning, but also the kind of focusing on one thing really allows me to give the business class students like the best kind of experience and as much of my time as possible. So
yeah, and also it's like with you not doing audio now because you're doing business class, it's like what's the high value for me personally thing over making money? It's like, of course you can make money doing anything if you have an engaged audience. Yeah. You could do whatever, you could do a show, but it's like, what's my priority? My priority is my life. And I think that happens with a lot of creators where they keep adding on because there's opportunity with like an audience. So it's like, I'm going to do a podcast, I'm going to do a newsletter, I'm going to do a blog, I'm going to do all these things. And really it's like, by honing in on one thing, it's really beautiful. And I think that project lifestyle is like pretty baller. With the transition out from Girlboss, was there ever like a time in between where you had this idea, or did you have this idea already where you felt like, what am I going to do? Like, was there ever a period where you're like, oh my God, I have no idea what I'm going to do?
Yeah. We had talked about doing online courses at Girlboss and it was just like, how many more things can we possibly do and do well? And so it kind of always got tabled. I've watched the space. There are really successful course creators out there who have like, they've proven like, the ways you can do this. I'm able to kind of learn from them. So I'm not like reinventing the wheel or trying to like invent a new business model. We're a media company and we're an events company and we're a podcast network and we're a social network, and like, it's easy to say what I do now. I had thought about what would be next, but I hadn't like named anything, and I actually, what I wanted to go do was like be talent. I was like, great, I'll just be an influencer. And then I was like, wait, I have to take like videos of me like doing my makeup and like before and after like food videos and like dance and point for reels
next to my face.
Yeah, and I'll take brand partnerships, once in a while if they're brands that I really love, but I was like actually planning to like really double down on the influencer thing. And then I was just like, am I too old for this? Like, I think I'm like I don't have an audience, but that's just not like where I come from. I have an audience because I accomplish things, not because I don't know. I don't know how to talk about it, but it just didn't seem right. And so I was like, okay, well, what else gives me autonomy and allows me to kind of like express what it is that I think I have to share with the world, and also doesn't feel like soul sucking, like dancing and like I just can't pointing at things for reels. I'm going to figure out TikTok. But so this kind of, I started kind of getting interested in this space, and I very quickly was like, all right, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure it out, and named it. Like I was just like on a hike with my boyfriend and was like, the advice for course creators is to name it something just very obvious, like, business class or like founders school or like Lady Boss University or whatever, like something that makes it really clear that like, oh, it's an online course teaching business, or like, Jasmine Star has something called, it's like, it has the word social in it, right? So that's like, and has a really successful course business. So I was like, oh my God, it has to be descriptive. Like that's so boring. Like nothing I do is really descriptive. They're like, the Girlboss wasn't really supposed to be descriptive. And then people were like, I'm a woman and a boss, but I'm just a boss. Like, don't call me a woman. I'm just a boss. Like, okay.
That was like years of your life.
It's just like, that's not like, it's actually just a word that like means like, cool, you're in control of your life. It's not like female boss. Like, my gender doesn't matter. And it's like, oh my God.
You're like, I got to get out of here.
Don't argue with me. And, I was on a hike and I was like, self-made university, just like saying like stuff that's like self-made school. I'm sure all of this exists, entrepreneurship academy, and then I was like business class, and I was like, what? I was like, okay, maybe I'm on, that's funny. And so that was that, and it was like, okay, great, I'm gonna make it like Pan Am themed, and it was just, a blast to build. And we used all existing, software. So I'm sure you guys for your membership are using, one of these platforms. I'm using something called Kajabi to host our online course. It's really great. Like you don't have to, and that's why I really am focused on bootstrapping for entrepreneurs. Is like, you don't have to build this software. It's all out there. And it actually all talks to each other. Like there are, integrations for like all the software you need that just makes it like so much better than having to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, it's the best.
Yeah. And I love the theme of it, and I think just the humor that you bring and the personality, just again, not only because you are doing it, but it makes it so different and unique. I guess like speaking of just bringing kind of light to entrepreneurship, I guess what about the way you're sharing this information and teaching people is super unique?
Well, one, it's funny, and it's like weird to be like, I'm funny.
I know, honestly, that's like,
but it's true.
It's hard but it's true to be like, I'm funny.
Yeah, like, I don't really take myself seriously, and I'm pretty like candid about like what I've done right and like especially what I've done wrong. And I think a lot of these courses are taught by people who, have, or like maybe they're like MBAs. It's like Stanford University's executive education, or then it's like the person who is teaching you how to build a business may have built a business, but the only business they built was teaching courses. And there's just, there's e-commerce businesses, there's, consultants and freelancers and, service-based businesses and financial advisors, in business class. There's such a range of students, and there's really, it feels like it's kind of narrow who it is that there have been made courses for, and also in terms of the perspective I bring, and having had 100 employees and having raised venture capital and having bootstrapped, Nasty Gal to 28 million in revenue. Like I've kind of been in the shoes of, and it's mostly women, it's not called girl anything, but of primarily the women who have become students. And I think, seeing somebody who doesn't take themselves too seriously, and a brand that's like really funny and punny and not boring and doesn't feel like sterile, learning a business from someone uneducated seems to be the way.
So that's our way. Yeah, and in it, how much of it for people is mindset versus tactical? Because I feel like so often it's like for a lot of entrepreneurs, so much of it is the actual doing and trying rather than like actual skills that you learn. Or what's your thought on that balance?
There's a lot out there for mindset, and it's not my strong suit. Like, my strong suit is there's some mindset stuff at the beginning of business class. We talk about your strengths and weaknesses, and that's okay. And, we get clarity on our idea, and, confidence that like we're going to learn a lot more and we're going to do it together. But I'm not like a mindset coach per se. And there's so many people that are so great at that. And I can share what's worked for me, but I don't have like a proven formula or like 3 steps to like cure your bad mindset or anything like that. I think mindset's incredibly important. But a mindset without taking action is just like, that's sweet.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. That's nice.
100%.
You should really, like, you kind of have to. So business class, I guess, to answer your question, is really about like, here's how you do things, not what it is. Yes, what it is first. Yes, of course we established that, but it's like, here's some skills. Let's think about this together. Let's work through it. And, the worksheets and the videos, and you can ask me questions rather than like, should I start a business? Mm-hmm. It's like for people who know they're going to start a business.
100%.
Yeah. What do you think stops most people from starting a business? Like they want to, but what stops them?
I mean, lack of confidence, not knowing if their idea is a good idea, fear of failure, having a hard time choosing. Like they have like a few ideas, and then largely just like people get stuck. They get stuck in their own head and they don't know what to do next. Like they hit a wall, and that's really common. You guys are, and I am, and probably any like entrepreneur who's listening to this is kind of an accidental entrepreneur. You're like, a podcast would be fun. You're like, oh shit. Mm-hmm. Like I run a real business, and I'm like, cool, I sell vintage. And then I'm like, what? Forbes? Like, and we're just like, nobody told us what to do. And there's fractured kind of resources out there, but it's like, who are these people giving that advice? So, it's like great, I have access to Shopify and Squarespace, but like, I don't know how to like run my company's, checkbook, or, my company's finances, or, how do I really do customer experience well? There are things that some come naturally to different people, but not everybody has it all. And so, it's really important, I think, that people have this more comprehensive view before they get into it and are feeling their way around in the dark, and then eventually feeling themselves. To have this, I'd like to be this little periscope for them, like, hey, I can see this thing around the corner. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Here, let me tell you about it.
And I feel like just, for you to outline it in this way and so comprehensively, it just like that in itself builds confidence. Like if I know that I'm going to like have steps A to P, I'm like, wow, like that's kind of half of the battle for a lot of, people, is having that blueprint and that support.
Totally.
Have you had to like, coming from doing the venture capital thing, doing the bootstrapping thing with 2 huge businesses, and then leaving both of them and now doing this, have you had to retrain your nervous system or like, you know what I mean? Because I'm sure you're used to being so stressed out and like so just like
go.
Yeah, go with the business to now having a business that you run that you feel so much more fluid with.
Yes, but I also feel like it was kind of overdue, so it doesn't feel, I'm still super busy, like I'm working like long days, but I'm not, and yesterday I was exhausted at like 5 and ordered a pizza and got in bed and caught up on The Bachelor. So like there are days that are really exhausting. But I find myself getting back into the trap of like exploring things that I could do just to do them and getting on phone calls to see what that could be about. And I want to do, uh, you know, I want to create merchandise. And I was very seriously considering a podcast. And there's other stuff that I'm trying to, having a course that's on like all the time and I'm always promoting it, like masterclass.com. And then I have other coaches come in and they do courses. It's like, of course I could build a business doing that, but it's actually Galen, my partner, who's like, that's not what you said you were going to do. And I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Mm-hmm.
And so he kind of helps hold me accountable because I would just keep chasing things. So I haven't completely reset my like mindset, but yeah, it's like I'm really loving being at home. But so that doesn't, it's just like I just love being at home and working from home.
Your house is so sick.
I know, it's the most beautiful.
Your house is so beautiful.
Thanks.
Do you have fun like creating a home?
I'm like, do you have fun in a home?
I created it so long ago and I like bought all this like nice furniture that I was then like, whoa, that's overpriced. Like after I decorated the house, and I'm like, if I ever redecorate, I'll never like buy stuff that nice again. So it's just like this like, it's just like this
relic
thing that like this thing that represents a time in my life where I used to spend like an obscene amount of money on like a sofa, and I can't replace it. I'd have to like won't be as good. So yes, it was fun to decorate in like 2013, but hasn't changed much since.
That's fucking beautiful.
How has your team changed? So in terms of like managing your team and like just your leadership style, has that changed?
Yeah, it changed so much with Girlboss. I feel like I got a lot right at Girlboss because I learned what not to do at Nasty Gal. I didn't really know what leadership was. I learned the hard way by people telling me what it wasn't and like being what it wasn't. And with Girlboss, I really had a chip on my shoulder to go back in and say, you know what, like maybe I can do this better, and to prove to myself that I could build a happier, healthier culture. And, it wasn't just me. I had incredible kind of executives with me doing that who I learned so much from. And eventually, like, I think that we had like 20 something, maybe 25 employees at our peak. I have 3 now. And I really like that. I like working remotely. I get a lot done. My team gets a lot done. We have all of these tools to, collaborate, whether it's, project management stuff or Zoom, or we use this awesome thing called Tandem. That's a kind of like audio, like you can turn video on it, but like, it's just really nice. It's like co-working. You just like drop in and be like, hey, rather than like, let's get on a Zoom. It's just almost like, it's really good. It's called Tandem. So, I think technology has made it really easy for us to collaborate. And again, with the course business, for each course we sell, it doesn't mean it costs us more money or that eventually, sure, customer care. We have Jasmine, who's our, one customer experience manager. But beyond that, it's not going to be like, oh my God, we have to hire like a newsroom and salespeople and event producers and oh gosh, we have to create more e-guides and more newsletters. And it's like, it's efficient. It's a very efficient business. So I'm trying to keep the number of employees I have as small as I can in proportion to the size of the business. of course, without anybody burning out, but there's, a lot of automations in the business and things that make it easy to run than any other business I've had in the past.
What's your favorite module? Like, or your favorite flight leg? What's your favorite leg?
My favorite flight is the branding flight. I think it's number 5. It's 3 or 5. I think 5 is marketing. And yeah, it's just like we go through kind of what are our references? What are we like borrowing from different, not just like, oh, I'm in fashion, let me go look at other fashion designers I like, but borrowing from like, the culinary world and automotive world and interiors, and like putting together these concepts that are borrowing from like asymmetrical kind of like industries or mediums that we can then take and turn into something that feels really new, and then put together a mood board. And then on the Zoom call we had that week, I had the creative director who worked on the business class branding with me on the call, and we did a screen share and we did like teardowns of everybody's. We were like, this feels like a different brand than that. Like, I love what you have on the right side, but this like image doesn't make sense here. This feels kind of like I've seen this before. And then with logos and other stuff, we were like, that one's kind of busy. I'm not sure I see the word that you think is in there. Like, so it was really cool to give people live feedback in that way. And, people built brands. They built websites on top of those brands. They build Instagram accounts on, so it's like branding is my favorite. I mean, I think this is like no surprise.
Yeah, you're like,
yes, quite obvious.
Iconic.
You mentioned I was watching some of the just genius marketing for business class, and you were talking about legal documents. I was like, oh damn, if like starting out, if we had like 10 of the most important legal documents, I mean, hello. I would love to know, just kind of like in your experience, the importance of being prepared and versed on the legal side of business.
Yeah, it's really important, but you don't have to know everything. I think you need to know, just call an attorney. Like, if you're getting into business with somebody, if you're sharing your ideas with somebody, you should know like at what point you need to call someone or set something up so that you're protected. In an ideal world, contracts never have to be referred to ever again. You sign it and everybody understands what's supposed to happen. And you don't have to go look at it to figure out what you've all agreed to, because that probably means that something's not happening. So agreements are, they're good for clarity, and I think they can also be good for like worst case scenarios. I'm pretty buttoned up when it comes to that stuff. It's easy to just be like, yeah, whatever, I trust you. But with anybody that I work with, it's important for everybody to have clarity, because not even like from a legal perspective, but just from kind of, dynamic of, who's doing what. Okay, like it's just, especially with friends, like working with friends. I just generally advise against working with friends.
Why do you say that? I agree. Why do you say that?
Well, it's one thing if you're co-founders. It's one thing if you're co-founders. I've never had a co-founder. I think it's different if you're like employing friends or like hiring friends.
Yeah, for sure.
That's different because it just, the dynamic changes. It also makes the rest of your team feel weird. Like, oh, that's their friend. Like, I can't tell them like that person is not doing their job, or like there's, even if you don't favor that person, there's like an assumed favoritism that makes the rest of your team feel a certain way. And I lost a friend. I lost like one of my best friends of like, I don't know what, 15 years by like a misunderstanding. Like it's like a longer, it's not that long of a story actually, but that just sucks. Like I would never, you think you're kind of like supporting your friends and giving them opportunities, and you totally are, but then there's just, you're always running that risk of something getting weird, even if you both have really good intentions. People view the world in different ways. And when it comes to someone's livelihood or their talent or their, financial security, and then your friendship, it's like, oh, okay, well, I didn't think you'd do this to me. And it's like, if it's just an employee, it's like, well, yeah, you're not doing your job. It's just a lot simpler. It's really different when it's a friend. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot. Whenever we have women that, they're probably your future clients of business class, but like talk to us about business, and they're like, I want to start a podcast, or I want to do something with a friend. I'm like, we are very lucky and we work really hard on our relationship, and we're really thankful to have such a strong relationship, but I don't think it's super normal. And it was funny because when we first started business, I was like, oh my God, employ all our friends, or like work with all of our friends all the time. And then you do it once or twice and you're like, oh my God, they're the best friend in the world, but we don't communicate the same, or we're not as like, we just work differently. Everyone works differently, and especially in the creative space. So I was like, you know what? I don't know if I want to mix the friends with business. So that it's funny because I was talking to Lindsey about your friends and like how you view friends before this, because you are such a person that is associated with Girlboss. You're associated with like feminine, like female empowerment stuff. How do you view your female relationships, and like how have those changed, over the years?
Yeah, I feel like I have really good relationships with the women in my life. I'm not like a girl's girl, whatever that means. And most of my friends like have been dudes, but like I have like a very small group of really, really like close female friends. Um, I mean, it's like stuff gets like stuff can get more kind of like complicated with female friendships. I've had very few fallings out. But there's, the one I mentioned really, really sucked. And that was just something that it's like, I'm not like, it's like they divorced me and like, I can't, it's like, no matter what I do, like, I don't get my friend back. And it's just like, I don't think that the punishment really fits the crime.
Yeah.
I don't really think it was that much of a crime. But, so they're pretty like, there's no, I'm not super like the feminine energy, divine. Like I'm just not like that. I want to know when there's a full moon, but I don't know what to do when it happens.
Totally.
Yeah. I do have a crystal.
I see that. It looks
that's a rock,
but that's all like stylish. That's just a
I don't know.
Crystal, honey. You got the real one.
Yeah.
That's like my favorite thing about your career is like how you are so like you're just so unique, and you're so badass, but like you behind a Girlboss brand, which kind of turned into something that is not like always you, because it's like Girlboss, Pink, all these things, and you're just so like artsy, creative, unique, and all these. So I was like, oh, that's such an interesting thing that's kind of morphed into that.
Yeah, it just all kind of seems to keep happening. I don't know. That might be like the deepest thing I've ever said.
That's facts.
Yeah.
What's your like mental health, self-care game like? As an entrepreneur, we're just learning, like we're 4 years in, but yeah, I mean, we are no good for this business unless we are taking care of ourselves. And we hear that a lot, but people are not necessarily understanding like what that could look like within the scope of like having these full days of trying to build a business.
Totally. I usually I try to stop working at like 6, sometimes I'll walk the dogs at like 4:30 or 5 when the sun's setting, and then come back and like eat dinner and then go back to my computer. I don't start my day super early. I set an alarm for 7:30 yesterday, and I got up at like, I think pretty close to 9.
That a girl.
But we also like stay up late watching like TV. It's like self-care for me is like eating food and sometimes watching TV, and I have a weird little sauna bed over here, like I'll lay in that thing, and I like hanging out with my dogs. I drink a lot of coffee. I take like some supplements, but I'm not super consistent, and I exercise like once a week. So I don't have like a special routine. It's really actually like I shame myself every day for like every day, every like, time I sit down to start my work day. I'm like, didn't you do yoga? I didn't do the Sam Harris app. I should be meditating. Like, I drink coffee. I should have drank water with lemon. Why can't I be like everybody else? And I'm just like, I want to be that person.
No,
and I'm just not that.
You eat super clean. I remember you like when we last saw you, you had just done keto. I don't know if you're still keto.
Yeah, I'm still keto. But it's not like super.
Hardcore.
I mean, it's like I don't eat sugar, and I don't eat grains. But I'm not like counting my macros right now, but I eat like protein and vegetables, and there's plenty of artificial like, monk fruit sweetener and things that can make things taste good, like this coffee and this is a brand called Taika. It's like adaptogenic.
Oh, I
it's
love
low
Taika.
caffeine.
See? I was drinking
Oh,
Taika
it's so
earlier.
good.
It's so
I
good.
just invested in them.
So
oh my
smart.
gosh.
I love the yellow can.
That's
what is that?
Today.
The
macadamia.
Macadamia.
I kept thinking
That's
about
my
that
favorite.
can, how the numbers on it, and I'm like, and I literally had for a minute today looking at the can. I was like, that's where we are in 2021. We're like, that's like cool, like we're so mobile tech focused that like a number on a can is like what's up right now.
If you text it, like someone texts back and it's a real person. Yeah.
I can't even text my friends.
I don't know how they're going to scale that. I know.
That's for you. That's for you to figure out as an investor. Just last question from me on the drinking thing and your routine. I know in one of your posts recently you talked about being 99% sober, and that's pretty much what we are is pretty much sober. We drink every once in a while. Was that intentional, and how has that changed anything in your life?
I mean, pre-COVID, I said no to a lot more because it was just like not as fun if I wasn't drinking. So it definitely like pre-COVID, because I had pretty much stopped drinking, I was like making food at home anyway. I was like, I don't want to do business dinners. Like nobody wants to start eating dinner at like, I want to sit down for a business dinner at 5 so I can be home at like 7. Yes. But like people want to have dinner at 7, and then it's like, I don't want to get home at 9:30. Yeah. Like I'm giving you like that's like the whole rest of my day. I don't like catching up, so like I don't just like having meetings, it's like there's a few friends that like I want to make sure I see every so often, but like, it's just easy to get stuck in this game of like hanging out like for business. It's like I drank my way to the Rolodex that I have, and that was fun. I was in my 20s. It was awesome. But I just like, I don't want that anymore. I also, my boyfriend, Galen, there was just like too many times where I was like throwing up, and he was like, you can't just have one. And I'm like, yeah, I can't have one. And he was like, this is gross. Like, I don't want to be around this. He was like, this is gross. Like, you can't keep doing this.
Damn.
And I was like, do I have to choose like alcohol or my boyfriend? Get this. We were in the south of France at the Hotel du Cap. And
as you do.
Which is, no. So the way I ended up there was that my husband, his sister was like going to get married in the south of France. And he was like, this guy was like, I don't like nice things. And I was like, okay, well, Airbnb. I was like, I wanted to stay at this hotel. And I was like, okay, we'll just get like a cheap Airbnb in the south of France. Great. And then he fucking left me. And I was like, okay, well, this is not a refundable airline ticket. So I was like, great. Like, Galen, like, let me just change the ticket, and like, we're going to stay at the fucking Hotel du Cap. And it was like 3 months after we had started dating. So it was like really fun. And of course, we're in the south of France, and I'm like drinking, and we end up in our hotel room, and I'm just like spinning. And of course, I think I'm funny and fun and
flirty,
so witty. Yeah. And he's like laying on the bed. He's like clothed, but his shirt was like unbuttoned. And he was just like laying on I mean, there's nowhere to like sit in the room even. And I was just like, just kind of like sitting on the bed. And then I was like, oh, I think I'm going to barf. And I thought it'd be really funny to, people's belly buttons, like kind of go down like this sometimes. Like I like barfed a little bit in his belly button. I thought it was so funny. And so this is part of why I don't drink.
How did you control that barf? I mean, what do you mean?
I don't know. It's just a little barf.
Oh my God. And he's like, all right, 3 months in.
Yeah,
noted.
he's like, okay.
Oh my God.
Weirdo. And then I ordered a grilled cheese and like fell asleep before it got there. And then when like I woke up, like the grilled cheese had got there, and I was like spinning, and then I just started screaming help when like the guy was bringing the food in, and poor Galen was like, this is consensual. Like I was like, help. So that's like things like that.
Yes, 100.
Yeah.
We all have that.
We've literally.
I kind of stopped because I had a mortified. Not that puke.
Many belly buttons, okay?
Yeah. Not the puke in the tiny belly button story. But I did remember one time a friend the next day was like, do you remember seeing me last night? And her face, I was like, no. Her face was disgusted. She was like, oh, you were like really fucked up. And I was like, damn, I look ridiculous. And I was just like, damn, I looked like a monster. And I remember I had heels on that were like 8 inches high that night. I was like, I had really tall heels on and I looked fucking dumb. Like, I don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. And then you go to conferences, I was like, I used to drink and be like, hey, shoulder rub, like, cool, let's do business or whatever. And then when I stopped drinking, I like still tried to go to them and it was fine. But it's like, I just forgot. I was never on the sober side of like, okay, it's like 8 p.m. Like we ate our like, finger food. Now it's time for everyone to have like wine or whatever. And all these like executives are like tipsy and like slurring their words. Yes. And like, I didn't notice that when I was drinking, and to be like, whoa, this is like a professional thing. And like, this guy's like breath smells like barf. And like, I was just like, this is crazy. How did I not know that this was what this all looked like?
I hated that culture. When I was in corporate, I hated that culture of like having dinner late, staying out late, them going to the bar, and just like the creepiness kind of. There was always like a little bit of a creepy factor around everyone. And I just felt like we're forcing it. I'm like, everyone's kind of forcing it. Everyone doesn't really want to be here. And we're getting so drunk because for me and my job, I was like, I don't think anyone really likes their job. So everyone's getting fucked up. But yeah, I saw that.
I thought it was so fun, but until I stopped. So.
Oh my God. All right. Well, I would love to just end by telling everyone, when business class is going to be available again, and just reiterating like who this is for.
Yeah. So business class, our second voyage, takes flight on March 24th. So that's when you can enroll. The doors are open for a couple weeks, and then enrollment closes. It's for entrepreneurs. It's for someone who isn't like, maybe I should do something. It's for someone who's like, I have like an idea. Like, I think I can do something with that, but I need help refining it. I need help with branding, building a website, understanding like how to actually do this without like completely fucking it up. And be in a group with a lot of other amazing business owners who are like figuring out the same things that you are in like a really safe environment where there's guidance from me and there's guidance from the group. And someone who's been there is like telling you like, okay, like I've been there. This is like what I wish I knew.
Love it. So good. And last question. What are you excited to receive like more of in your life now that you have more time and space?
Just peace. Yeah. Just like some peace.
Love that.
Feel that.
I'm ready to receive more of your vacation pics.
Yeah.
I really enjoy your vacation pics.
I know. What happened to
I
vacations?
know,
It's
babes.
coming back.
We'll be ready when we'll be ready for your vacations
Yeah.
when you're back.
We'll meet you in
I
the south
know.
of France.
Yeah, honestly.
Belly buttons out.
Oh, and also on that diving board, you know, there's like a diving board into the ocean there,
Yes.
like at that
I'm
hotel.
saying yes, and I'm like, no.
It's like there's like pictures
Yes,
like famous people on it and stuff. This is like so like weird to talk about this hotel, but I tried to dive off of it. You know, it's like right by the pool, and all these like people are, you know, drinking their like spritz or whatever. I tried to dive off of it into the ocean, and I full on belly flopped, and I screamed like I was like, ah! Like screamed like a teenager, like really loud, like before I belly flopped, and all these like French and Italian people were like, ooh. I was like, oh no, I'm from Sacramento.
Yeah, literally. You're like my American showing.
Oh, yeah. Anyway,
Well, thank you. We appreciate you.
thank you
and
guys.
You're the best.
This
It's
is
just
fun.
so fun to watch you do your thing. So here to support.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
We'll see you later.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Thank
Bye,
you.
everybody.